Hello everyone and welcome to Design Donderdag. Hè, Miguel?
Yeah,
That's very
Donderdag.
nice. Yeah, you heard it.
So getting there. Thank
No,
you
it's
so much,
great.
Jeroen and
Yeah,
Anina, for having me.
yeah. Thank you for being here, and
Yes.
gonna share with us some exciting things in this 40th episode, hè, Lonneke, of Donderdag.
Very exciting.
Yeah. What will we talk about, Lonneke?
Well, what's going to happen in 2025? So we're very curious what Miguel can share with us about it. And probably we don't get to see everything, of course, but I'm very curious what's in store for us.
Yeah, and if you're also curious and watching, let us know from what country you're watching, because I saw in the people that registered now all over the world, people. So if you're really watching and not only registered, let us know in the comments in YouTube or LinkedIn, because I'm very curious to know that. If you like this content, as always, don't forget to like us with, of course, the thumb on YouTube or LinkedIn. If you want to see more of this content, because we have more interesting guests also coming up, subscribe. And if you want to learn more about Power BI, check out our Power Up learning platform, which consists now over 200 hours of Power BI training. And because this is the 40th episode, we have a nice promotion. We never did this before in 222 episodes or something. But now we have a promotion if you want to have 1 year for access for only 400 instead of 600.
Wow.
So if I calculated 33% discount, but then you have to let us know or let me know before tomorrow, Friday evening. Just send me a message and we'll make it happen. So if you're interested in that,
nice.
Let me know.
And of course, if you're coming from the Design Donderdag sessions, you will have to start with the design and storytelling courses.
They're also in the platform, correct?
Yeah.
So enough promotion. Let's start with the roadmap. So I have a little bumper, and then I give the word to Miguel. That's live. That is the wrong bumper. Make mistakes. Miguel, before you start, can you share with the people shortly what you do? Because you're working at Microsoft. What's your role? What do you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, my name is Miguel Myers, and I am the product manager for core visuals in Power BI. And as well, I am the product manager for report experiences in Power BI. So I do own all the visualizations that you see, or well, mostly all the visualizations you see in the gallery when you need to select a data visualization. And as well, I am the owner of the panels, the ribbon where you actually can edit or format your visualizations, like all the surrounding area in Power BI Desktop. That's as well my area. So my goal is to create a unified and friendly experience for users to manage the settings for the visualizations that I do own as well. And in the data visualizations, my goal is to give as many options as you can, so then you can provide a good storytelling when you're presenting your information.
Then I immediately have a question. I was wondering if the theme settings are also part of the report experience, or is that more Canvas?
Yes, that's no. That's for core visuals. Core visuals owns the theme.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
I know my follow-up question later on.
Yeah, Miguel, you brought a very cool dashboard which showcases the new things that are coming for Power BI or in the planning.
Yeah,
I can tell a little bit about. So I'm gonna add your screen now, and please walk us through all the cool things that are coming.
Let's check it out. So this is like many months of work trying to put together the view of all the requests that customers have asked us for multiple years, but in a way that consolidates multiple shippable items or features that the product team can develop, and as well in an organized manner that people can a little bit understand not only what we are doing and what we have done, but as well the reasons why things are still waiting. And I'll talk about it. I'll talk more about it in a moment. But this dashboard is is intended to be a common place to work with the product team. Like the community can use this dashboard to communicate how things go, the things that they need, etc. The goal is for them to go through all these categories. As you can see, we have call-out visuals. Under call-out visuals, we have the new car visual and the future new gauge. And then as well, if we go into the Cartesians, we're going to see like labels, axes, legends, shapes, lines, markers, and extra elements for all the Cartesians that we have. And you can see here all the features that we have developed, the status, and as well in the future we're going to add links, so then people can click on this hyperlink and it will take them to a documentation that will explain in more detail how that feature works. So there is a lot of information, and we're going to go little by little dissecting and going through each of these components.
And this entire yes, this dashboard itself is completely new, right? I never saw something like it before from your side, or did I just miss it completely?
No, this is completely new. It's going to be live one day after the launch of the November update for Power BI. So we're still waiting to know if that's going to be the second or the third week of November. But the one day after that is when we're launching this live, and it's going to be as well promoted in multiple channels in Microsoft to make sure that the community understands that this is a new asset, that it will stay here for good.
So I see some completed items, but does it also contain new things you're working?
Exactly. This is not just 2025. I just need to be clear. This is like multiple years of work. Right. And this is a summary of all the work that we need to do based on multiple requests from customers. So again, what I'm doing is I'm going through all fabricideas.com that people have published, and I'm going one by one, classifying them, and then putting them into each of these buckets. So you're going to see, like, for example, this one has 12,000 votes. And the reason of that is because I have identified multiple people asking for those ideas. I'm just going to click here. So you can see, let me load this one. Here it is. So people are saying all these ideas, or they are asking for all this, and I'm classifying it. So then they belong to this. Instead, and it's really tough because, like, you can see here, like, people saying that they want to show show zero instead blank, and it's only 2 votes. But actually, this work, it's part of the development for the new car visual. As soon as we did this work here, we were able to replicate that one in other places. So I do know how those requests that people randomly, or not randomly, but constantly, they send us in the Fabric Ideas. Instead just losing that feedback from customers, I'm making sure that I'm capturing it and framing it into a single place where people can see if we are working on those ideas or not.
Nice. Very transparent of you. Yeah.
Well, that's the main premise of this work, to make sure that there is a full transparency, and community knows exactly what are we doing, when are we doing it, and how are we doing it. As you can see, there is another section here called roadmap. I'm still working on that design, but the plan is to show you in the semester that we're going through. In Microsoft, the semester starts in October and ends in March. And then the second semester starts in April and ends in September. So the plan in the roadmap section will be to show you exactly in those semesters where is the features programmed for that particular time frame. So you'll know when are we planning to launch them, what is exactly the epic idea that we're going to develop, etc.
What are some of the things? Because this is it's great. You're combining everything in one dashboard. Maybe you can click through a little bit of the different elements if you want. Because of course we're curious to see more. But can you maybe also share a little bit? What are you currently working on? Is that something you can share with the people that are watching?
Yeah. So before I go into what we're doing this semester or what is coming soon, I'm going to show you some of the components of this dashboard. So
Yeah,
then
please.
when I'm going through, people can understand how how to understand this information. So you can see that each of these epic ideas, which is basically a summary of multiple ideas from all of you, they have a section at the top. This section is basically some kind of stages. So for us to create a new car visual is really straightforward. There is absolutely nothing to do before or after. This is done. Then when we did the reference labels, we had some dependencies. We need to first obviously develop the new car visual, which is this first idea. Then we needed to work on enhancing the data labels, and we did that work back then in 2023. And once we had that code and everything was working fine, we were ready to start working on the reference labels, and then we accomplished that work. So you can see that I cannot do the reference labels first before data labels, because that will create problems later on when we're trying to implement the same code to Cartesians or any other places. So we need to go through a certain order to make sure that the code and the feature was ready for that implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is coming in November. So that's one of the things that you are asking.
Nice. Yeah.
So what is coming? There's more multiples. Now you can split your cards into series, into multiple dimensions. And here you can see now a different information. So reference labels was needed, which is this feature. Mm-hmm. And then right now this is under development. So you can see a different icon here. This is telling our community that we are working on this feature. And it's telling you more or less the things that we are working on. And obviously this is not going to be like in November when we launch this feature, it's not going to be fully completed. Some of these items will be completed and other ones will still pending because we will continue making more progress. And you will know that. Then something else that we are going to do is to allow you to import or to render trends or charts in your car visuals. And as you can see, reference labels, which is this one, was required to do that work. But right now, this is an item that is not blocked by anything. It's ready for us to develop. And that's what we're going to do, I believe, in December. So we're going to start working on this one. Once the engineer is ready in December, this item will switch from this icon to this icon to tell all the community that finally is under development. Yeah. So far, right now, it's available for
next. Yeah, if it has the little dot inside, does it mean it's coming very soon? The next month.
Basically, it's available. Well, it's not soon. It's just available. Like we have no blocker. Code-wise and engineering-wise, there's actually nothing that is blocking us. We can start any time. But we still need to prioritize it. That's why the roadmap that's still missing here is going to be the perfect view to tell you what actually comes. Okay. Because this one doesn't tell you when, the other view will tell you when.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. So finally, the last one I want to show you is this other scenario. What happens here? I know that multiple people, when they create cards, they want the card to be actionable. So they want to click on the card and they want to change the view or to go to another page or like make changes. So what they do right now is they create a card visual and then they put a transparent button on top of it. And then they configure the button with certain actions. And when the user clicks on that transparent icon or clear icon, then activates that action. But the problem of that is that it's not an accessible experience. It's really tough for performance. And just having components one on top of each other, it will be hard for another designer to understand that kind of approach and then continue that work. So it doesn't scale really well. So we want to make sure that the new car visual is capable as well to allow you to have not only a single action, but multiple actions. And we want you to click on that card and activate them, or we want to use the tooltip. So then the tooltip can have a section where you can see multiple actions. So you're not just tied to one single action. You can program multiple ones, and the end user can select the one that they need. There is more stuff around this area, as you can see here in the list. But again, this is, I think there is a message here that everything you see can change. Like at some point, I can even increase the scope, I can decrease the scope. It all depends. But this is the plan. Now, going up here, you can see reference labels was required, which is done. But we need to do some work in the tooltip section because we require a tooltip component that doesn't exist. So even though that we finish all these 4 items, this one will continue still locked by another area that has nothing to do with the card itself, but is related to it. Yeah. So that one will tell the community is blocked. So you can still voting on this one, but we will recommend to go into the tooltip section and then being able to vote on those ones too, because the more votes we get for these epic ideas, the easier for me will be to go to my leadership and say, hey, this is what we need to do because community is asking for it. Yep. So now I have data as well. I have all the comments. I connect those ideas with what the community have asked for, etc. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to get in touch with each other. But this is how that works. In the future as well, as part of the release that we're going to do in November, you're going to be able to click on this icon and you're going to see a video that is going to explain detail by detail how to navigate, how these epic ideas are, and everything related to this dashboard that I'm just explaining.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious if you're watching this, let us know your questions, so you can just leave them in the comment in LinkedIn or YouTube, and I can include them live into this show. Never sure how to call this, but we can ask Miguel right away. So don't be afraid to ask your question. Yeah. This is your moment. What is your idea about this?
Sorry.
Let's talk about what is coming.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best thing. Yeah.
What is coming is small multiples for the new car visuals. That's coming. Nice. This is not just the small multiples that you know when you use small multiples for Cartesians at all. This is like another experience. And the goal here is to present this to you, get your feedback, because very soon after this gets into available for all public, we're going to copy that code and put it into all Cartesians. So you're going to find stuff like, for example, you're going to be able to move this series to the left side or to the bottom, or have multiple arrangements, maybe have a grid arrangement or single row arrangement. And you're going to be able to decide how to navigate. Maybe you want to navigate through multiple series using scrolling experience or paginator or clicking on buttons to have a paginator experience too. Yeah. So, and that combination can be for the small multiples, so you can scroll to move across multiple series. But inside of the cars, if you have multiple cars, you can then navigate through buttons. So you can decide your own rules, and you're going to have a lot of customization. You're going to be able to put accent bar in the headers. You're going to be able to change the grid of your small multiples in a much better way than what we do now. Import images as backgrounds and more stuff. It's going to be a game changer how we are going to deal with these small multiples.
I am already so happy with the small multiples, just decreasing the number of visuals, making the work so much easier and quicker. But sometimes indeed you do miss some customization options or even just the order of things that you're showing. So I'm really happy with this.
Yeah. Another amazing thing is we're going to give you control over individual series. For example, if you have 50 series, but only series 1 is the one that for your company, and you're rendering the other 40 just for comparison, we're going to allow you to emphasize and change the color of the font and the layout of that particular one that you want to separate from the rest. Yeah. That's something that in small multiples for Cartesians, we cannot do. If we change the color for one, it applies for all of them. So that's going to be another amazing control that we're giving for small multiples. Again, it seems like it's gonna feel weird that we have one experience for the new car visual and another experience for Cartesians. But the reason is we do not want to make a lot of changes to the Cartesians because they are not preview features. They are what we call GA features. And we want to make sure that something that is in public preview first gets tested. We get feedback from the community, and once it's in a mature state, then we move it into Cartesians that are GA.
Yeah. sometimes you do it indeed, like you said, step by step. And I get two questions I see in the comments about the new list slicer, I believe is the name.
Oh yeah.
And I saw your comment also recently in one of the posts saying, okay, it's very similar to the new button slicer, but then it has less features. So
Yes.
list slicer, can you tell a little
Yeah.
bit more about that process and what people
Of
can
course.
expect from the list slicer?
Of course, I was planning to do that as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because we got a lot of negative feedback about it, and completely reasonable. Like I am not saying, I am not excusing myself, or the team is completely reasonable why people were not happy with it. But I'll explain more about the detail and why this dashboard will really clarify things for all of us, in our side, but as well for the community to see what happens in the background. Yeah, and again, this is the intent for this is to be very transparent and clear, as well as open up the door for communications and be transparent and make sure that everybody knows that we are listening. We are not ignoring our customers.
On the left hand side, I see also filters and slices. Can people then see more about this list slicer, for example? Oh, this is only the first feature of 5 that's going to be in the list.
So let's go there. I'm just gonna go into the list slicer.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so this is the roadmap for the slicers. So we are not going to do any work for the current slicers. Those slicers at some point will just get removed from the gallery.
And with the current, you mean the old-fashioned one?
The old slicer.
All of them that are in there right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna end up in the gallery of data visualizations with 5 different icons. Yeah. So let me go back to what we have now. So the current slicer is one single slicer. When you go to the property section, there is an option that allows you to switch the type of slicer. Yeah. And then depending the data type that you use, you will end up with multiple options. So usually we have list, drop down, between, after, before, relative date, relative time, and other options that may be missing. So that slicer, the traditional slicer, will be gone. So at some point that won't exist. The moment where that slicer will disappear is when these 5 slicers will be live in the product. Instead of having one slicer, we're gonna have 5 different icons. One icon for the tile slicer.
I have one question, Miguel. So if you used this old slicer, will it break then? What will happen if you
No, users at some point will see a message that says if they want to convert the old slicer with a new one. But if they say they don't want to, we will continue supporting it. However, they are not going to be able to create another one from scratch. No, they have to basically copy paste the old one to continue using the old one. But trust me, with the features that we're going to add, I don't think that somebody's going to really be so tied to the old slicers, because the new slicers will have exactly what they offer, but even more, way more functionality.
Talk us through. I'm nervous. Tell me.
So this is the tile slicer. I think we're going to change the name to button slicer, but I'm working with the content team on that. So far, we call them tile slicer. So this tile slicer has been already finished. There is still more work that we need to do just to align it with the list slicer, but mostly everything that we had in mind based on our people's ideas. Like you can see, a lot of people were asking for this kind of stuff for multiple years. So we were able to finish that work, and now we're going to the list slicer. Let's talk about what happened and why people are not that happy. As you can see, there is a lot more work that we still need to do. And what you actually saw that we launched was a very few set of advanced settings for the list slicer. The list slicer is going to be a slicer that allows you to do multiple things. For example, part of this work is to allow you to go to Excel, copy a whole list of items, and then paste them here. And then once they are pasted, you can select them all at once, instead of going one by one. Copy and pasting a list and use that as a selection in your slicer was a high demanded feature that is part of the list slicer. And the fact that we need to deal with ragged hierarchies, when you have blanks everywhere, and then you expand and collapse items, and you can see those blanks that are really annoying, That's going to be part of the work for the list slicer. Being able to identify your own rules, how things look when they are expanded, collapsed, when you select, when you hover, when you press, all those states, which we're going to call them expanding collapse state, interactive state, and selection state. You're going to have control over each of those ones. So you can create amazing and professional looks of your slicers if you have the time and really the wish to go that far. But that's going to be part of that work. It is way more like cross-highlighting support. You can go select a chart, and then your slicer will be cross-highlighted. And you can only select the items that has been cross-highlighted, and the other ones that are dimmed, they won't be selectable because you're now cross-highlighting slicers that never happened. And this will not only affect the new list slicer, but it will affect the tail slicer as well. So both of them will be affected by this.
A lot of people will be happy with that one indeed. That you only see the relevant options in your slicer, right?
Yeah.
I had a couple of questions about. So maybe it's good to shortly address them. This one I already showed, but Ronald, thank you for your question. And you indicate, hey, the list slicer takes up a little bit of space, or a lot of space in your opinion. But you can play around, I think, with the number of items shown. That you with the scroll bar, of course. I don't see a drop down in your
yes,
5.
right here. Right here.
Oh, it's one of the features there. I see it.
That's one of the features. Yeah, that's why. And it's hard. It's hard to balance it because in the past we asked the community, what would you prefer? To wait many months until we launch something almost done, or would you like for us to ship something little by little, so then you do not get overwhelmed and play with the feature? So then at the same time you're playing with the feature, you can give us feedback. But it seems like the community, sometimes they want to try, sometimes they do not want to try. They want to see everything completed. Of course. So having a balance there is kind of tough. But the drop mode is coming. It's coming. It's part of that work. We're still working on that part. But it is part of the new list slicer. And actually, let me tell you one thing. The drop mode is not going to be like the one that you know from the old slicer. The drop mode is going to be a very unique mode that applies for every slicer. So the tail slicer will have its drop mode. The text slicer as well will have a drop mode, and as well as the calendar and numeric slicer. All of them will have a drop mode. Why? Because sometimes you want to place these slicers side by side in a very small place or tiny area, and you want them to be super aligned so that when you click in that drop mode, it expands now the full experience of that slicer. Yeah. And we want to make sure that you have a seamless experience for all these new slicers. What happens is the new list slicer is at the moment when we do this work, when we start doing that code that later on will apply to all the rest.
Yeah. So that would also save a lot of people creating like these custom filter panels with bookmarks. You're just getting rid of all that.
Oh yeah, for good. Yeah. So another part of this work is all the designs and enhancements that you're doing, that you're seeing with the new slicers, will be applied to the filters. So it would be a replica. You're gonna see, for example, if I go to the filter pane, we're gonna be able to see the new new list slicer with all those features, with the picture, with the label, with expand and collapse, with the copy and paste list. Everything that you're able to do with slicers will happen here too.
So we'll actually start using the filter panel, because I don't know anyone who uses the filter panel for their end users. No.
Yes. No. This is the goal. The goal is going to be a matter of user preference or report creator preference to decide what to use, a filter or a slicer. Yeah. I'm being biased. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give you everything that I'm giving you to the slicer into the filter pane, and even more. For example, this one. This is another component we're going to add where you can even see how many items people have selected. And you can turn this on and off. This is not going to be available for slicers, only for filter cards. So, and like this, I'm going to give you another extra stuff that is going to make the filter pane way more interesting to use. I think the big one to me is this one, where you can now create groups. Like your filter cards can be inside, and you can create a group that you can expand and collapse. So all filter cards related to regions or to calendar or to products, whatever, you can then put them inside, and then you can customize each of these groups in any way you want. So now your filter.
When is this roughly on the roadmap? Is this something in the next month, or is it longer term?
As you can see, it requires the new slices to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Then we need to customize the whole filter sidebar, and then finally we're gonna that tells you more or less it's a lot of work coming. Let's go and see this one, customizable filter sidebar. So let's go to there, canvas. In the canvas section, we have this customizable filter sidebar. The goal here is, instead of having the filter pane completely separate from the page, you can attach it, and then you can expand this panel to the outside or to the inside. So then you won't need to create bookmarks anymore, and you can emulate what you do with bookmarks into this new panel. This new panel will give you all the necessary options to change the shadow of how it's reflected, to show if you want it in the right side, the left side, or in the bottom or the top, etc. So you're gonna have multiple options to customize this filter. Again, if you do not want this filter to be attached and you want to keep them separated from the page, as you can see here in my report, I have these things, it's completely separated.
Yeah.
The other one is, it's not gonna look like this, it's gonna look like part of your page, like it's an extension of your page.
Yeah.
And then you can make sure that when you expand that option, it can show on top of your page, just like multiple people do right now with bookmarks, or continue to not disturbing that view and expanding them to the outside. That is going to be amazing, because imagine that bookmark work will be gone, and on top of that, having really fully customizable slicers. Filters that actually are the same as slicers. That is actually the game changer.
I see it already in the comments, because Eric indeed was wondering, can we move the filter pane to the left? Now check, I see it indeed as one of the upcoming features
right here.
And another question that Eric
position.
asked, exactly. And one other question that Eric asked, and also in the comments earlier, Mateusz Mosakowski asked, default selections. Can you say?
I knew that we will go there. So I'll show you. People, when we launched the list slicer, they were really upset and saying things like, "I have no idea why Microsoft is doing this. If all we need is this default selection."
Yeah.
And why are you doing something that you already did with the tile slicer if it's less than what you have done, and you're just wasting the time? But again, lack of visibility of how things are going, and we hope that this dash will change that a little bit. Yeah. So let's talk about self-selection or auto selection. So that work requires more than normal. So there is a lot of there are two pieces. The first piece is, let me go to the styles, or that's where we have conditional formatting. So here's, in the styles section, we have conditional formatting controls. One of our goals is to make sure that the small multiples is supported everywhere in the format pane. So when you have the color picker, all color pickers should have a conditional formatting support, as well for title, which we already do, image, visual, like these numeric inputs, drop downs, sliders, in like even font controls, toggles, and other kind of buttons. So this is not, when I'm showing you this text, title text doesn't mean that only title text is what I want. It means that these kind of controls, we want them to support conditional formatting. Now, in order for us to do the auto select slicer, we need to make sure that conditional formatting is fully capable to do the job. We need to make sure that there is a way for the tool to understand those parameters, and not only go to the code and say, hey, now that you have applied a parameter with conditional formatting, you need to now show it. So for example, right now, when you have a column, and then you want to apply conditional formatting, what happens is you set up your parameters, and then those columns change color depending if they follow or they fall into your conditions. But the problem is the end user will never know what the gray means and what the orange means, because we do not provide a legend that says, hey, this is your condition, and everything that falls in. We do not do that because the code is not capable to recognize that. We cannot even show you in a tooltip your condition and say, hey, by the way, this color has changed because this is a condition that was set by your creator. There is no communication. And the reason that there is no communication, or the fact that there is no communication, we cannot tell the slicer neither, hey, you should go and select this item because that's a parameter that somebody set in the backend. So if we don't have that connection, how can we do that? So we need to first make sure that we have all the necessary controls everywhere. We need to make sure that the condition formatting is capable to pass that information to the visualization itself, like in other external components. And finally, the apply filters that everybody's asking for, which is this one. What is what we need here? We need to make sure that, as I said before, Power BI is capable to understand those codes and then express them or pass that information to other set of codes in our infrastructure, which is this area. Then what we need is advanced strings, which is this item. What is this? This is how you set those rules. You can say when you have a text, if contains, doesn't contain, if starts with, begins with, if it's not blank, all these text strings, they have to be supported fully in conditional formatting dialog. We need to have another strings that we do not have, like if it's between certain date and another date, if it's after certain date, if it's the last date. And I'm going to be very precise here because that's 80% of is what the people want for this slicer thing. They want to make sure that always selects the last week, the last date, the last hour, etc. So we do not have that control in conditional formatting. So it's going to take a lot of extra steps for users to do that. So I want to make sure that those strings exist in our ecosystem, and the conditional formatting is capable to pass the information to other components. So then finally the slicers can understand what to select.
I think this is a great way of indeed, like you said already in your announcement, in your teaser video, to make it more transparent, so that you don't get every month while you're working very hard on things with very good intention, that people say, oh, I'm disappointed because it's only this and this, and I would have expected this and this. This makes it transparent. In order to do this, first we need to work on this. I think it will save a lot of confusion.
So here you can see this is not done, and therefore this is locked. What happens if people keep putting pressure and saying, no, I don't care, we want this now? What is going to happen is we're going to end up with a feature that it will break a lot of reports, and it will make our infrastructure more difficult to handle. And therefore, when we are trying to do this right, it will take us 3 or 4 times more trying to fix something that we already launched than do things right. Another really good point to show is this is super important for that one. And you can see that the votes are not that huge, while this one has so many votes. So sometimes you're going to see that I'm going to come with my team and say, hey, guys, we're doing advanced strings, and people are going to be even more angry. Why are you not doing it? Well, we are.
They don't know the roll-up towards your end product. So you vote for your end product, which is very much user-centered, but all the steps before.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
People don't know about it, of course, and that's necessary.
I have a couple of remarks because people are really reacting, so that's nice. Massimo is talking about the tile slicer with this movie. No, not the tile slicer, but the old slicer.
The old slicer,
legacy at one, right, Miguel?
So this one is good to know. The tile slicer will be so it will get removed.
The tile slicer or the all right, that one. And now I know what Massimo means. The old
I think Massimo is talking about the old tile slicer. I believe that's what he's talking about.
The tile
question. It's anonymous, but maybe as an idea, could we have a drag and drop experience so the end user can put the filter panel wherever desired?
Yes. Yes. So that's the plan. If we're gonna make a communication between the slicer and the filter pane, the idea is I'm trying to figure out that with the Canvas team, which is the other team that I own. That once you configure a slicer and then you drag it and drop it into the filter pane, we remove the slicer and put the filter card with the same settings in the same field right in the filter pane. So then you feel or you think that you are dragging and dropping it, but no, we are basically doing something else behind, removing that slicer and then creating a new one with exactly the same settings you have in the slicer into the card. Because remember, we're gonna take a copy from those new slicers and make sure that they are fitting into the filter pane as filter cards.
Yeah, great. Edward is asking about this nice dashboard. How did you create this report?
Well, this report was created using only core visuals elements, so no custom visuals at all. Okay. So here I'm using this top section that you can see where we see the dependency. This is a new car visual. So each car has those parameters set, and that's how I make the magic. This is the table. This is a new car visual 2. This is the new car visual 2. This is the new button slicer. And this is a collection of buttons and bookmark buttons.
Nice.
So everything, I know that somebody said that it is way faster to create a whole data model and then making a new car visual look nice. And I agree. I agree. But actually, the different, people will always complain. In the past, the car visual never had any way to create something like this. And now that the car has a lot of options that you can come up with the most amazing designs, people now are saying that it's just too much. But there is always a balance. There is a plan. And we presented that to our leaders yesterday, and it was really exciting to see. But there are plans to come up with a ribbon section where you can see predefined styles. So you can click on you can create a new car visual. The goal is for you to go to that preset area, and then you can decide which are the configurations or style that you like the most. And once you get the one that you like, then you just go to the format pane and change the very little things that you want to make it more appealing. Instead of going through all the configurations and trying to figure out how can you build something like this.
Can you maybe go also to the media? We want to see everything, and now that we're going a little bit, I think, Lonneke, we have an extra 10
questions.
First you, what do you?
Well, I saw you also on the left side, you have the canvas. As some people that frequently watch our Design Donderdag or have taken my course, they know my alignment OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So I always use my own grid system, and I'm teaching people to use this grid system to improve the alignment, because the grid lines that are available in Power BI are just crap, to be honest, because they start at the top left with the first box, and then in the end you get a half one, and at the bottom you get a half one. So everything is out of space, or you need to count the dots. So I always create an entire grid with boxes, with shapes, and align everything within this grid to help people, create a grid that you can reuse on every page. Will there be a better grid on the Canvas standard available?
Yes, it is not part of the Core Visuals dashboard because that belongs to the Canvas team. But yes, I was able to prioritize it. We're going to start working on that in March. And what is coming? What is coming is revolutionary. I think you're going to be very happy because you're going to be able to set the grid of your page. You're going to say, I want 20 lines horizontally and 40 vertically, and I want the space to always be 20 pixels between visuals. And the margin of my entire page, I want to be 10 pixels. And those areas won't be invaded by any other visualization. Everything you create will be rendered by that kind of frame or grid system that you put in place.
And then
the grid system, it doesn't work.
No. So, but and is it possible? Sometimes I create this grid and I take a bit more space in between all the visuals. So, for instance, I can create these buttons like tabs in the white space between the graphs. So to give the experience to switch between two different graph types, for instance. So if it's completely set that you cannot put anything in between, that would also minimize my freedom. Okay.
No. Look at my dashboard. You can see that I'm playing with multiple paddings here. So the space between this element here where my mouse is the same as here, so it's consistent. But you can see my top margin is higher.
More,
You can see as well that the padding in the content is way like larger, because my intention here is to drive your eye into the content, into really visually separate navigation systems to the content that I want you to pay more attention. Then I have another like you can see here, the space is basically almost the same as this one here. But then the space between the table and the image is different. But all this system of spacing and margins, I already carefully planned to do it in a way that makes sense for my design. So if I have a grid system that will restrict this kind of freedom, will be a trouble. I do know that because I am a report designer. I know. I have heard people saying in social media that whoever that is behind this work has no idea how to use Power BI.
No, I have trust. I have trust.
Maybe... So the plan is to give a set of multiple grid systems. You can switch, like you can say, for these elements, I want to use my grid system number 1, and for the ones on top, I want to use the system number 2, and for certain components, number 3. So each of those layers of grid lines will restrict those visualizations to not overpass those limits.
Nice.
So
feels like layers or something, like layers that you could have in InDesign or Photoshop, that you can connect your visuals to different layers and different grids.
Yes. And why are we doing this? Because what we want is for you guys to create a grid system that organizations can use as a templates. So then you can define where the visualization should go. And if somebody else wants to create a report from that template, they cannot mess up with the design. It will be always very specific and very restrictive, but at the same time flexible enough to allow users to come up with the best design.
I have a question also, Miguel, because in past episodes we come across more and more people creating SVG visuals, or you have DNAP and other things. Is there at Microsoft discussion about creating really your own visuals?
No. That's a really good question, but the answer is no. It's not that easy, because imagine the tile slicer, the new tile slicer or the button slicer that we created, we did like a year ago, more than a year ago, and still so close to go into GA. We need to go through a lot of, it needs to support embedded, it needs to support paginated reports, it needs to support mobile, it needs to be accessible, it needs to go through high contrast, it needs to go through screen reader stuff, and more stuff that a visualization should be scalable enough to work in this Power BI environment. If we open the code for users to do whatever they want and create their own, those visualizations will break. We need a lot of engineers to make sure that everything works fine, seamlessly across multiple platforms. People won't have that kind of control in the code that we are working on. That code is very exclusive in the backend. The ones that we can provide won't give enough freedom for users to rely on that kind of capability. That's why DNAP is a really powerful tool. You can come up with the most amazing visualizations, but that won't scale in other platforms. It will have limitations. And that's the difference between core visuals and those visualizations. However, we know that we cannot stay always in a vanilla state. So that's why we're going to show, we're going to present multiple data visualizations that people can use. Like, for example, having a waterfall that you can start series, or introducing the histogram, having the stream chart, being able to go into more advanced visualizations, like a better funnel visualization, having a Gantt chart where you can monitor and graph your projects and see how things are connected. We're going to get the box and whiskers. we're going to have a powerful word cloud, and we're going to have a really good organization chart that it can be central, it can be top, it can be left, right. Like you can bring those branches in any way you want and configure it in the way that you think. So multiple capabilities that are kind of missing, we're going to bring them as part of our gallery, so that you're going to have more options to show. Not only introducing new or refreshing existing data visualizations like the funnel chart, but for example, I'm going to show you something quick. For the part of whole visualizations, there are plans to make sure that those visualizations as well expand. For example, being able to use hierarchies in the pie chart. And I know that there's a lot of people hating the pie chart because they are saying that it's not a good practice. But
I thought you were going to say we're going to remove the pie chart from Power BI.
No. So we have something for those ones that are always complaining about that it's not a good. So what we're going to do as well is you can see all the series as part of a whole. So then you can see more or less how much space they have against the rest. But if you want to compare them in a much reliable way, we're going to be able to put in the legend the size. So you can see this is the size of the pink one and so on. So you can have like slash bar chart as well as your pie chart in one single place. So you can still enjoy the power of a donut chart or pie chart in having some kind of bar chart. And even you can see here, I can expand this one and I can see all the child. And you can see as well how much proportion they have from the rest. So that's another enhancement.
For me, one of the issues with the pie chart, donut.
Oh, go ahead. Let's go in here. So what is one of the issues?
Well, it's a nice connection to my other question, because one of the reasons why I do not like pie chart, donut charts, and the tree map, I call it the square pie chart, is that you cannot add context or targets to it. So it's very hard to make comparisons. And I think in a dashboard, you need to be able to make comparisons. Otherwise, it's just a number without value, to me at least.
So
do you have ideas? Yeah,
we're going to allow you to add more context, not only in the labels and add a call out in the middle, but we're going to, if we expand this one to the legend, you're going to be able to even add more context into your legend section. And when you interact with this, we're going to make sure that you highlight things in a proper way. We want to have an other bucket, so then if you have multiple series, you only choose the one that are the largest one, and in the small ones, you put them into an other bucket. And by interacting, we can show labels with that can give better context in the label system or the legend system. Nice. So the pie chart, the tree map, and the donut chart are going to be connected to the whole effort that we're going to do in the Cartesian side. Yeah. So again, each visualization, we want to really highlight their powers to make sure that they are all balanced, and then you're going to have a more repertory of options to choose when it's time to tell a story.
Yeah. Miguel, I would like to have a couple of questions from viewers also. So you talked earlier about presets, and Wilco is wondering, can you also add your own presets?
Yes, of course. That's part of this other work. Let me go to style again, and then we have themes, and this is my favorite actually. So the idea is you create a data visualization. You customize the legend, the title, everything you want, and then you can save this style and not only add it into your JSON, but you can put a name on it. And then when you go to another Cartesian, you can expand the style dropdown, and then you can see your own style saved there. Imagine this being part of the layout system that I was telling with the grid lines, where the organization can save their own style, but as well multiple theme styles for each visualization, where you can say, hey, I like this style for this kind of comparison, but I want to be clustered, and I want to overlap the charts if I want to compare before last year versus the current year. And I want to create all the style and all the settings, and I want to save it as comparison style. So now a new user just goes, look at the styles, and they click on that one, and automatically creates all that overlapping and color everything all at once. So yes, you're going to be able to choose from the ones that we're going to offer you. Plus, you can come up with your own. That's as well part. You can see the votes are not that huge, but we hope that this can be prioritized by the amount of people that ask for it.
Yeah. And
I see one more thing here. Color assignment for categories was one of my questions. Are we getting an option to say, well, these are my, like the visual hierarchy. Do you have primary colors and context colors, alert colors, target colors?
All of it. All of it. Not only that, you're going to be able to even assign colors for very particular series. So if you have Contoso and you want to make it orange, every single time when the system identifies that Contoso has been plotted or rendered, it's gonna become orange. Cool. So all those components, like the whole, that's why we have this new customized theme as the first step. We want to make sure that you have more control than ever. Right now, we need to go through other websites or other places to try to, not anymore. So we want to give you everything here. I don't want to create a whole documentation to show you what you're capable to change in the code. I want to give you an interface that anyone without understanding of JSON code can change.
Yeah. So awesome. Fast forward, please. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I create a lot of templates for companies, so that would really be helpful.
Yeah. Wouter is also asking about the line charts, because he says, I get 2 common requests from clients, multiple access, more than 2, and having a continuous x-axis with caps. But in general, are you also working on, is that also in this?
Yeah, of course. In Cartesian section, we have a area for shapes, lines, and markers.
Great.
It's a really large scope. I think even this doesn't give justice of the work that we're doing. But yeah, in here you can see show line gaps in line and area chart. Yeah, so here it is. The other one that I saw is multiple legends. That's in the axis. So in the secondary axis, we want to as well improve this section and allowing you to have more control over the axis and the location. But I mean, everything that was asked is in this dashboard. And I showed this to my committee representatives, and they actually were mad at me because it was just too much information that they were able to go through. But I think this format will allow anyone to go in their own pace and explore it little by little. So then they see if we have something in our plan.
Yeah, cool. We have to round up because we are also aware of your time, Miguel, because you have the day ahead of you in Mexico. So maybe one more question from Ramiro, because he's watching almost every week. So I do want to include his question also. The fonts, is there any thoughts on maybe expanding that, or there?
So the first one is to make sure that everything you see in Office, we support them as well, because in my opinion, there is no reason why we are supporting so many other fonts in Office with no problems, but in Power BI we have always the same ridiculous amount of fonts. And trust me, I am tired of them. This dashboard was using those fonts, and I wish I can stop using them and use something better. So I'm already working on trying to make sure that I can bring those fonts first, so then you have more options. Once we have that system in place, I need to work diligently to see how can we now support custom fonts. The challenge here is, we know that we can import the image and it looks really beautiful in our report, but I need to find a way to make sure that that's rendered in another computers that have no font installed for that particular system. Or if somebody opens in the Power BI mobile in their phone, you know that we cannot import fonts in our phone device. So I need to make sure that those custom fonts in a certain way maybe go into a system that we can first recognize that can be used in other operator systems or devices. And if it's supported, then we allow you to import that custom font or something like that. We still need to figure out. But what we know is, before even going that further, at least we need to work on bringing you way more fonts.
Yeah. Ooh. And we don't see any bottlenecks at the top before the Office fonts. So, but they're not yet all the way at the top where you have the timeline, the steps necessary to get to the.
Oh yeah. So no dependencies, no
Good.
dependencies.
Cool.
So again, I'm being very transparent. Don't think that I'm just putting dependencies so then I can excuse myself and say I cannot work on them. No. I went through multiple conversations to understand really well if this kind of things can be done before or after, and what is actually connected. So no, that one in particular, there is absolutely nothing that is blocking us.
Great.
Only resources and time.
Manpower. Yeah.
Only that. No. Miguel, thank you very much for sharing all these these nice new features and giving us the world premiere of this new dashboard, which will be released one day after the November Power BI release. So we really appreciated that you wanted to do that in our little show. And thank you for everyone asking questions. We had a couple of questions still pending, but Miguel, maybe you can have a look at them later and answer them if you have time. But we have to round up because you have to go back to work also.
Well, my advice is we have a channel in LinkedIn called PBI Core Visuals. If you want to reach out to me and ask more questions, you can do that, or you can just be patient and get the dashboard, and all your answers will be answered. All your questions will be answered right there.
Exactly. But indeed, that page is indeed very useful. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to know more, because next week we are back with a Dutch episode, and we're gonna the title is also in Dutch, as you can see, but it has to do with someone from the Amsterdam University who's working on how can we improve self-learning. Maybe it's also related to this. How can you keep developing yourself and see there's a whole nice research about that, how you can improve that. So it's a little bit broader topic, but nevertheless very interesting. So be sure to watch it if you want next week. We're gonna say goodbye, Lonneke and Miguel.
Yes,
and
thank you. I can finally sleep again.
You are
sleepless nights. Yeah, I'm happy. Now I just need to practice my patience. But
that was the goal.
I'll work on that.
Yeah. Miguel, Lonneke,
it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.